Hello, friends. Imagine a car where door handles are located somewhere on the floor at knee height, and accessing the glove compartment requires effort to fit a bank card into it. Even the cup holder is not beside the seat, but behind your back. Quite strange, isn't it? Today, we will tell you about the most luxurious and expensive car of the past 50 years, the Lamborghini brand. When considering one of the most expensive cars in history, it is impossible not to dwell on the biography of its creator. The father of the Lamborghini brand is considered to be the Italian industrialist and businessman Ferruccio Lamborghini. Ferruccio was born in 1916 into a family of ordinary farmers. From childhood, his father accustomed him to work on the farm and instilled a love for machinery. Whenever something broke, whether it was a grain crusher or a hand tool, Ferruccio was by his father's side helping with repairs. By the age of 12, his parents noticed that the boy was fascinated by metal parts and was constantly tinkering with them. One ordinary day, while working in the workshop, there was an incident during the casting of a part. A spark fell on the floor, which caught fire. Quickly realizing what to do, Ferruccio managed to prevent a fire. Despite the incident, he did not give up his passion and continued to pursue it. After finishing school, he enrolled in a technical university, where he successfully absorbed knowledge in the field of casting and welding. After obtaining a professional license, he got a job at a local forge, and then became an apprentice in one of the workshops in the city. After 2 years of practice, he changed jobs and began working in a workshop in the town of Oberlone, where he worked directly with the military. Apart from the fact that this job brought him a small income, he was passionate about his work. A young master opens his own workshop together with his friend Marina Felipe when they were just 19 years old. However, their collaboration didn't last long before both of them were called into the army in 1939. Until 1934, Ferruccio worked for the benefit of the army, independently repairing military equipment of both domestic and imported production. This circumstance greatly helped the young man gain experience that he would never have acquired in university. In 1943, the island of Rhodes, where Ferruccio served, was captured by the Germans. Upon learning that at the time of capture, the young man was the head of the workshop and personal mechanic of the senior staff, the Germans, without hesitation, gave him a choice: prison and death, or work as the chief mechanic repairing German equipment. Of course, Ferruccio chose work, and even when the war ended and the island became part of England, the talented master remained there until 1946, after which he finally decided to return home. He tried to apply the knowledge he gained on the front lines to civilian life. Upon returning to his hometown, he didn't sit idle for a day. Orders came in one after another, and by the end of 1947, there wasn't a single piece of farm equipment in his town that hadn't been touched by his hand. Realizing that his knowledge and labor were in demand, he gathered all his savings, borrowed part of the sum from his parents, and in 1948, he founded the company Lamborghini Trattori S.p.A. He diligently worked to simplify the lives of local farmers, providing them with a machine that would perform some of the complex tasks for them. Strangely enough, within just a year of work, he invented the company's first vehicle. In 1949, Lamborghini Trattori released its first self-produced tractor. The engine was taken from a military truck, and the gearbox had to be designed by Ferruccio himself. Overall, almost all elements were borrowed or modified to fit their needs. The first few tractors were offered to local farms, and they were so satisfied with the work that engineers and mechanics received about a dozen more orders within a few months. Within a year, the number of orders for Lamborghini tractors was so large that the company couldn't keep up with demand. Of course, Ferruccio knew he needed to expand. He lacked both manpower and space for production, not to mention the crucial components for assembly. By this time, he was 35 years old and had made a serious decision. He knew he wanted to be involved in technology production for the rest of his life. So he took a risky step. Through his father, he secured a loan from a local bank using the entire family farm and tractor production workshop as collateral. It was a risky endeavor, but he believed in himself. With the loan he received, he purchased 1,000 new Morris engines intended for future tractors. In the very first year, about 50 units of new machinery were sold. The following year, demand for Lamborghini tractors increased, thanks to their affordability, simplicity, and quality of service. Any young lad could fix these tractors. The company developed rapidly. In the post-war years, working the land in Italy was almost the only way to survive. The number of employees increased every year, as did the equipment, which was upgraded every 2 years to newer and better quality models. Until 1960, Lamborghini was successfully engaged in tractor business, until he decided to expand his business sphere. In that year, he opened another profitable enterprise, Lamborghini Bruciatori, which developed heating and cooling systems and provided maintenance. Thanks to this, almost the entire Italy gradually transitioned from coal heating to gas. The revenue from these two enterprises was very good. Thanks to the coordinated work of the entire team and all the employees, Italy's economy, which had been destroyed during the war, began to grow slowly. Now, friends, let's get to perhaps the most important question. How did Ferruccio get into automobile production? It's quite simple. Despite his professional interest in the tractor business, Ferruccio was an avid car enthusiast. He often improved his own cars with his own designs. For instance, the first car he ever owned and modified was a Fiat 500 Topolino. However, his heart was truly set on sports cars. The first car of this kind to land in his hands was an Alfa Romeo 1900 Sprint in 1955. He then dared to purchase a Mercedes-Benz 300 SL, but quickly became disillusioned with it and sold it. The frequent changing of cars, as later recounted by the founder himself, was due to a multitude of shortcomings that emerged during use, regardless of whether it was a Ferrari or a Maserati. According to Ferruccio, each car had its imperfections at different times. He owned several Maserati 3500S and a Jaguar E-Type, but he favored the Ferrari 250 GT in its various modifications. It was actually his ownership of a Ferrari that prompted Ferruccio to develop his first car. The story goes that one day, Ferruccio visited the Ferrari factory to complain about the clutch quality in his Ferrari 250 GT. His intention was merely to have a conversation with Enzo Ferrari and possibly offer suggestions to help resolve the issue. However, to his surprise, Enzo's son promptly dismissed his father, directing him back to his farm with the advice to stick to his tractors. Insulted by being called a provincial farmer who understood nothing about cars, especially sports cars, according to his son, Ferruccio Lamborghini returned to the factory. Together with the factory's chief mechanic, he dismantled the transmission in his Ferrari 250 GT and discovered that many of the parts were the same as those used in Lamborghini tractors. Finding a suitable replacement from his own stock, the problem was resolved. It was then that Ferruccio made a promise to himself to teach Enzo Ferrari a lesson. Little did Ferrari know how far Ferruccio would go to fulfill his vow. Fired up with the idea of creating his own high-speed car, Ferruccio quickly realized what the engine should entail. Giotto Bizzarini, who had previously worked for Ferrari, helped with the engine design, while the clutch was made identical to that of a tractor. Frank Scaglietti, a designer, helped bring the idea of the body to life. In 1963, Ferruccio Lamborghini opened another company, this time for automobile production, under the name Automobili Ferruccio Lamborghini. The cars of his company made their debut at the official opening of the Turin Motor Show in 1963, where the revolutionary Lamborghini 350 GTV caused a sensation among the audience. From the outset, it was clear that his car was not designed for racing and competition. It was crafted for a smooth ride and pure enjoyment. Interestingly, upon its initial appearance, the car was only partially ready. However, after receiving several dozen orders in May 1964, its design was refined, leading to serious production. At another auto show in Turin, another car model, the B401K, was unveiled. Ferruccio wasn't particularly satisfied with it, so by 1966 he had improved it and released a new, enhanced version with a new name, the Miura. Its success exceeded all expectations. Within a couple of years, 764 units of the new car were sold. Notably, the price of the car at that time was no less than $20,000 per unit, firmly establishing the car in the luxury category. However, even this achievement did not halt true car enthusiasts. Thanks to such sales, Lamborghini quickly surpassed Ferrari, leaving it far behind at the start. The Lamborghini automobile market gradually expanded with new models. In the early 70s, a model called the Miura S emerged, accompanied by the A400 Jetsetter, better known in select circles as the personal Rolls-Royce. Additionally, Lamborghini expanded its range with off-road vehicles like the Occittà, primarily developed for sale to the US Armed Forces. But it was the Countach, with its unconventional design and scissor doors, that emerged as another successful car. Capable of reaching speeds of up to 300 kilometers per hour, it became the first supercar to enter the Guinness Book of World Records. By 1990, a more advanced version, the Countach LP 400, was released, featuring a 455 horsepower engine and, for the first time in the marque's history, a 4-valve motor. Unexpectedly, Ferrucci decided to step down as CEO, citing the termination of a contract for agricultural machinery delivery to South America as the reason. This move plunged the company into a crisis, from which Ferrucci believed he alone could emerge. In 1972, he sold his share of the company to Miru and Georges Henry, evading the oil crisis of 1973, which further vindicated his decision. Gradually, all tractor production fell into the hands of the Italian conglomerate, Symbiosis Foreground. In 1974, he sold all his shares and used the proceeds to awkwardly acquire Adele Langer, where he began growing grapes and making wine, opting for a serene lifestyle. There, they also produced golf carts, and on one occasion, Ferrucci personally assembled a car for Pope John Paul II. Since Lamborghini's founder departed from the company, several models were introduced, which later became iconic in the automotive world. For instance, the Countach LP 400, with its updated design and now boasting 375 horsepower, featuring a two-seater coupe with a Targa-style roof. However, despite the launch of these new models, Lamborghini couldn't avoid financial difficulties. Unfortunately, due to issues with road infrastructure, Lamborghini cars lost their popularity. Furthermore, disruptions in parts and components supply also left their mark on the company's condition. All these seemingly minor troubles led to Lamborghini declaring bankruptcy in 1978. All shares were put up for auction and acquired by various buyers. A couple of years later, the company fell into the hands of the Chrysler Corporation, under whose leadership an improved version of the Lamborghini Countach was released, bearing the memorable name Diablo. However, even this model couldn't save Lamborghini from accumulating financial problems, and once again, Lamborghini changed hands. This time, a large Indonesian investment group called MTech acquired all shares, and Tommy Suharto became the new director. Despite efforts, they failed to develop anything progressive and relevant, only adding to the company's debts. Under pressure from competitors, Lamborghini changed ownership again in 1998. The Audi Corporation took over, becoming the new and final owner of the controlling stake. It was under Audi's ownership that Lamborghini's production was efficiently organized, with significant changes made to the design of the cars, making them more versatile, modern, and stylish. Thanks to Audi's resources and efforts, Lamborghini's entire range of cars is now considered a symbol of luxury lifestyle worldwide.